Chosen one. This message didn't find you by accident. It was summoned by your spirit. That tug you feel in your soul right now, that's divine timing tapping on the door of your remembrance. There are no coincidences here. There is only alignment. This is not just another video. This is a scroll being opened. A revelation that was written long before you took your first breath. You didn't just stumble onto this moment, you were led to it. And deep down, you know it. Because something royal, something ancient, something powerful inside you is beginning to stir again. Your awakening is not random. It is sacred. It is on time. You're not rising because life suddenly got easier. You're rising because the veil is lifting. Because what your spirit once whispered in secret, it's now starting to speak in full voice. And that voice? It's calling you home. Not to a place, but to your purpose. The ancient Egyptians, masters of mystery and keepers of divine rhythm, believed that powerful souls would return to the earth at an appointed time. They weren't obsessed with the past. They were in tune with eternal cycles. They knew that when the time was right, those marked by God, those chosen, would rise again to fulfill a divine mission. They looked to the stars, not for superstition, but for confirmation. Because in the heavens, they saw destiny written. And now, here you are, a soul that didn't just arrive in this lifetime, but was sent. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven." You weren't born too late or too soon. You were born in perfect timing for your unique assignment. This is not the beginning of your story. It's the unfolding of it. So stay with me, because in the next few moments, we're going to unravel layers of divine knowledge that confirm what your soul already knows. That you are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are not crazy for feeling like there's more. You are right on time. Together, we're going to explore how the ancient Egyptians, through stars, scrolls, suffering, and spiritual sight, actually foresaw your rise. And how the Bible not only echoes their revelations, but confirms that your existence is part of a divine plan written by the hand of God Himself. Before we dive in, I want you to do something simple, but powerful. If your spirit already feels this message, like a flame being relit, drop 77 in the comments right now. Let heaven and earth know. You hear the call. You recognize the scroll. You are aligning with your divine design. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share this message. Because someone else out there, another chosen one, is waiting to be reminded of who they are too. And your obedience to that nudge could be their awakening. This isn't just information, this is confirmation. Your rise isn't beginning, it's continuing. Let's step into the ancient truth and unlock what your spirit has known all along. Let's begin. Part 1. Written in the stars. Before you were born, before your name was ever whispered on earth, your essence was already known in heaven. Chosen one, you've probably always felt it. A sense that your life carried a weight others couldn't understand. A subtle pull that you couldn't explain. A knowing that you're here for something greater, something different, something eternal. That's because your existence wasn't random. It was written. And not just in a journal or a family tree. It was written in the stars. The ancient Egyptians weren't just fascinated with the night sky. They studied the heavens because they believed it was a divine map, a celestial manuscript. To them, the stars didn't just sparkle. They spoke. Every constellation, every planetary shift, every lunar phase was viewed as a prophetic signal. They understood something most of the modern world has forgotten. That time is not a straight line. It's a cycle. That the heavens are not just decoration, they're declaration. And the Bible? It doesn't reject that idea. It confirms it. Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands." That means every sunrise, every eclipse, every cosmic alignment is not just nature doing its thing. It's a message from the Creator. The sky is His canvas, and it holds the fingerprints of prophecy. Genesis 1:14 echoes this divine truth. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years." Sacred times, not random days, not vague seasons, sacred, marked, intentional. Chosen one. That means your birth wasn't just a biological event. It was a spiritual timestamp. You were scheduled into existence. Your life was aligned with cosmic precision. The moment you arrived, the heavens took notice because your assignment had officially entered the realm of time. It's why you've always felt sensitive to the atmosphere. Why full moons stir something in you. Why you feel waves of insight or restlessness when the seasons shift. That's not your imagination. That's your design. Your spirit is tuned to divine rhythm. Just like the Magi who followed the star to find the Christ child, there's a path written in light, and it has always pointed to you. This is why you've always felt a little out of place. Why you couldn't blend in no matter how hard you tried. Why what satisfied others never quite filled you. Because you weren't made to blend, you were made to beam. You weren't called to follow. You were designed to guide. You weren't born to copy. You were born to awaken. And this is where so many chosen ones get confused. They think the delays, the betrayals, the detours in life are signs of failure. But in truth, they're signs of alignment, divine recalibrations, rerouting for a greater destination. God never lost track of you. Not even in the darkest chapters. Even when you felt invisible, heaven recognized you. Even when you were silent, the stars still whispered your name. Even when the world tried to bury you, your light kept breaking through. Think about it. The same hand that set galaxies in motion, set your life in motion too. Your every heartbreak, every disappointment, every detour, it's been allowed, even orchestrated, to shape the vessel required for your calling. Because when you carry something eternal, your journey can't look like everyone else's. The ones who carry light must first be acquainted with darkness. The ones who are called to lead must first be misunderstood. The ones who are born to shift atmospheres must first learn how to survive them. Chosen one, you were written in the stars because your assignment was written in the stars. That divine plan is why you've survived things others didn't. Why you've heard God in silence. Why you've had dreams that felt more like memories. Because your awakening is not new. It's ancient. You're not discovering who you are. You're remembering who you've always been. And when you walk outside tonight and see the sky stretching endlessly above you, I want you to remember this. You're not looking up at random lights. You're looking at the same stars that watched over your ancestors. The same stars that stood witness to every moment heaven prepared for your rise. And they're still watching now. You see, when God sends someone with purpose, He also surrounds them with signs. Signs to comfort them. Signs to guide them. Signs to remind them. So the next time you feel spiritually pulled during a celestial event, trust it. The next time your soul vibrates in the silence of the night, lean in, because heaven is still speaking through the stars, and they're saying your name. This is why no setback could stop you. This is why every delay was divine, because the plan hasn't changed, and the time is now. Chosen one, your glow isn't new. It's been there since the beginning. It's just now that the world is starting to see it. You weren't just born, you were sent. You weren't just lucky, you were aligned. The stars don't lie. They speak. And they've been speaking of you all along. Let that settle into your spirit. You were written in the stars because heaven wanted the world to know. A chosen one has arrived. Let's keep going. There's more to unlock. Part 2. The Scrolls of Destiny. Long before time touched your skin, before your mother ever held you, before anyone on earth even knew your name, there was a scroll, a heavenly document, and your name was written on it. Chosen one. This isn't fantasy, this is foundation. The ancient Egyptians had a belief, a deep reverence, for something they called the soul contract. They taught that every soul came to earth by choice, with intention. That before birth, your spirit agreed to a mission, a sacred task, a holy assignment. Your life, according to them, was not a coincidence, but a covenant. They believed this contract was sealed in the spirit realm, not with ink, but with eternal fire. Now, while some might see this as mere mythology, the Bible doesn't just validate this concept, it magnifies it. Psalm 139:16 says, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Think about that. Before you ever made a mistake, God had already accounted for it. Before you ever cried your first tear, He'd already prepared your healing. Before you ever said yes to your calling, He had already authored the scroll. You are not making it up as you go along. You are walking out what has already been written. And that deep, inner knowing you've carried your whole life, the quiet awareness that your existence matters, that you're here for something more, it's not a wishful thought. It's prophetic memory. That's the scroll speaking. It's the sound of your soul remembering what heaven already confirmed. You've felt it, haven't you? Even when you were young, you looked at the world and sensed more. As a teenager, you felt out of sync, not because you were broken, but because you were awake. And as an adult, your struggles weren't proof of weakness. They were evidence of weight, of calling, of divine responsibility. Because let's be real, you've gone through things that don't even make logical sense. Why would someone with so much love get rejected so deeply? Why would someone with such a good heart attract so much betrayal? Why would someone so willing to serve be so overlooked? Here's why. Because your scroll carries oil, and oil is always tested. The weight you carry is proof of what's been written. The pain you've endured is not a punishment, it's a preparation. See, the enemy doesn't fight what isn't threatening. If you were just ordinary, you wouldn't have faced extraordinary resistance. But because you are chosen, because your name is etched in the scrolls of eternity, every force of darkness has tried to stop you from remembering who you are. And yet, you're still here, still rising, still reaching, still hearing the whispers of destiny calling you forward. That's how you know the scroll is real. Every breakdown was a plot to make you forget. Every heartbreak was an attempt to distract you from the mission. Every delay was an effort to derail your agreement. But nothing can erase what heaven has written. The Egyptians tried to preserve their soul contracts in stone. They carved them on temple walls, on pyramid chambers, in sacred tombs, all in an effort to ensure their purpose would never be forgotten. But yours? Yours wasn't written in clay or on papyrus. It was written in eternity, sealed by the breath of God, guarded by angels, confirmed by every spiritual battle you've survived. And here's the thing about scrolls. They don't reveal everything at once. They open gradually, chapter by chapter, moment by moment. Which is why, even when you don't understand everything, even when the vision is blurry, you can still move with confidence. Because the author is faithful, and he's not done writing. Every time you almost gave up but didn't, that was a page turning. Every time you said yes to healing when bitterness would have been easier, that was the scroll unfolding. Every time you got back up when you were tired of fighting, that was heaven smiling. Because the assignment is still alive. Let me say it clearly. Your life is not a collection of random experiences. It's a carefully ordered story, one written with divine precision. And every plot twist has a purpose. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. What felt like loss was preparation for elevation. What felt like confusion was spiritual activation. Chosen one, God didn't just write your scroll. He sustains it, even now when things still don't make sense. Even now when doors seem slow to open. Even now when the waiting gets heavy. The scroll is still moving. The pen is still writing. And you're right on schedule. So let this settle in your spirit. That whisper inside of you, that pull to do something meaningful, that quiet voice that says, there's more. That's not delusion. That's remembrance. You're remembering who you were before the world tried to rename you, before trauma tried to silence you, before people tried to define you. You were sent with a scroll, a mission sealed in mystery, but powered by eternity. And that's why you don't fit in. That's why shallow living doesn't satisfy you. That's why mediocrity makes your spirit restless. Because your scroll was never average. It was written in glory, fashioned in purpose. And now it's unfolding. So walk like it. Pray like it. Move like someone who carries the ink of heaven on their life. Because you do. You are not wandering. You are not guessing. You are not lost. You are walking out the scroll. And the next chapter? Oh, it's about to shift everything. Let's keep going. There's more to uncover. Part 3. The initiation of suffering. Chosen one. You've cried tears no one saw. You've endured pain no one understood. You've battled storms in silence, carrying wounds that never made it into the highlight reel. And yet, you're still here, still breathing, still pressing, still rising. Why? Because you're not just surviving life. You're being initiated into something sacred. See, in the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, suffering wasn't viewed as misfortune. It was seen as a necessary gateway to divine wisdom. The chosen weren't handed scrolls of revelation. They had to earn them. Through fire, through silence, through loss. The ones destined to carry truth had to first carry pain. And here's the thing. That ancient truth echoes perfectly in Scripture. Romans 5:3-4 says, "We glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope." Read that again, slowly. Suffering is not pointless. It's a refining process, a spiritual alchemy, a sacred crushing that produces oil you couldn't get any other way. Because let's be honest, we don't grow when everything's easy. We grow in the stretch. We grow in the pressing. We grow in the fire. And chosen one, you've been through the fire. Every betrayal, initiation. Every silent night you cried out to God and heard nothing back. Initiation. Every time you felt overlooked, discarded, forgotten. Still, initiation. Your tears have not been wasted. They've watered the soil of your purpose. Your trials haven't been random. They've been training for the weight of your scroll. You were never meant to walk an easy path, because easy paths don't produce deep authority. And you, beloved, were born to carry authority. Look at the ones who came before you. Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, thrown in a pit, sold into slavery, imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. All before stepping into the palace God prepared for him. David, anointed as king while still a shepherd boy. But instead of a crown, he was hunted by Saul, hiding in caves, misunderstood and rejected. Even Jesus, the perfect Son, was led straight into the wilderness after being baptized in glory. Fasting, tempted, alone, face to face with the enemy. They were all chosen, all favored, all called, and all broken before they were raised. Because the path to greatness in the kingdom is not paved with comfort. It's paved with crushing. There is no oil without the press, no glory without the grind, no authority without the wilderness. Chosen one, your suffering has been sacred, and that changes everything. You see, what looked like God's silence was actually His strategy. He wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you. He wasn't ignoring you. He was investing in you. Because when you're called to lead others through darkness, you must first learn how to walk through it yourself. You had to know what heartbreak felt like, so you could speak healing with compassion. You had to experience isolation so you could recognize loneliness in others. You had to sit in the shadows so you would never be fooled by superficial light. And now? You carry something deeper than words. You carry weight. People may not know what you've survived. They might see your strength and not understand the story behind it. But heaven knows. And hell knows too. That's why the attacks came so hard. That's why your name was slandered. That's why confusion tried to cover your clarity. Because when a chosen one is near activation, hell gets nervous. But what the enemy didn't realize is that everything he used to break you, God is using to build you. Every rejection became redirection. Every loss became learning. Every delay became development. And now, you've been forged in a furnace of sacred fire. You don't speak theory. You speak from depth. You don't encourage with cliches. You uplift with authority. You don't lead from ego. You lead from empathy. Because you've lived it. Your suffering has carved out room for wisdom. Your silence has created space for divine whispers. Your endurance has become the proof that you're not just gifted, you're trusted. Chosen one, don't resent the fire. It didn't come to destroy you. It came to identify you. Like gold, you were refined. Like steel, you were tempered. Like prophets of old, you were broken from the mold of the world so God could shape you into someone heaven could trust with power. Yes, it's been heavy. Yes, you've had nights where you couldn't even pray. Only breathe. But through it all, you've been becoming unshakable, becoming precise, becoming a vessel for something far greater than you ever imagined. And when you walk into your calling fully, when doors begin to open, when favor finds you, when people start to ask how you got here, you'll know. It wasn't luck, it wasn't charm, it wasn't ease, it was the initiation. It was the years no one saw, the private battles you won, the spiritual fire you didn't run from. It was the crushing that created the oil. And now you carry what can't be faked. You move with the quiet confidence of someone who's seen hell and kept walking. You speak with the anointing of someone who's wrestled with angels and didn't let go. This is the power of your suffering. And one day, chosen one, people will sit at your feet not because of your success, but because of your survival. Because you didn't just make it through, you transformed. Let's go deeper. The scroll is still unfolding. Part 4. The Call to Justice. Chosen one. You've always felt it. That burning in your spirit when you see something wrong. That fire that rises in your chest when the innocent are silenced. When truth is buried. When injustice parades like it owns the room. And maybe you've wondered, why do I feel so much? Why do I carry these burdens that aren't even mine? It's because you were called, not just to awaken, not just to heal, but to bring justice. In ancient Egypt, there was a divine concept called ma'at, the principle of truth, balance, justice, and divine order. Every pharaoh was measured by it. Every soul in the afterlife was weighed against it. They understood that justice wasn't just a civic matter. It was spiritual alignment. Without balance, nothing could flourish. Without truth, nothing could be sustained. But we don't have to look to the ancients for understanding. We look to the one who sits on the throne. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Psalm 89:14. Justice is not optional to God. It is part of his identity. Isaiah 1:17 doesn't suggest it. It commands it. Learn to do right. Seek justice. Defend the oppressed. Take up the cause of the fatherless. Plead the case of the widow. This isn't about politics. This isn't about popularity. This is about purpose. You weren't chosen just to carry revelation. You were chosen to restore order, to speak what others are too afraid to say, to defend what others walk past, to stand up when everyone else sits down. This is why your spirit gets agitated in environments where truth is twisted. This is why your peace evaporates when you see injustice tolerated. That discomfort isn't dysfunction. It's discernment. It's your soul recognizing that you weren't born to blend in. You were born to disrupt corruption. Because heaven didn't send you here to maintain what's broken. Heaven sent you to correct it. And that fire in your belly? That's the Holy Spirit igniting your prophetic purpose. It's why you speak truth even when your voice shakes. It's why you carry burdens others pretend not to see. It's why you can't unsee what's wrong. Because your vision is meant to repair it. You were anointed for impact, chosen one. You've always felt different in spaces where people keep quiet to be liked. But you speak up even when it costs you. And yes, it's cost you. You've lost friends. You've been labeled too intense. You've been avoided because you make people uncomfortable with your clarity. But let me tell you this. You weren't called to coddle the system. You were called to challenge it. You weren't sent to soften your truth. You were sent to sharpen the atmosphere. Micah 6:8 says, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." That is your blueprint: justice, mercy, humility. This isn't about being self-righteous. It's about being spirit-led. Because the kind of justice you carry isn't loud and prideful. It's holy. It's the kind of justice that weeps over the broken. The kind that fights for the voiceless without needing applause. The kind that prays in secret and then shows up in public with power. You are a bridge between heaven's standard and earth's chaos. You are a vessel for divine order. You are a disruptor of spiritual injustice, an answer to someone else's silent prayer. This is why your journey hasn't been light. You had to be broken to feel the pain of the people. You had to be rejected to understand the cry of the forgotten. You had to be humbled so that when your voice rises, it rises with purity. Because when you speak, heaven listens, and hell trembles. Your voice doesn't just carry volume, it carries weight. You speak not from opinion, but from divine assignment. Not from ego, but from empathy. Not from performance, but from prophetic alignment. The ancient Egyptians honored Ma'at, the balance between heaven and earth. But you, chosen one, are called to embody that balance. When you defend the oppressed, you restore divine rhythm. When you speak truth in a room full of lies, you invite heaven into the conversation. When you choose righteousness over convenience, you align with the throne of God. This is what the enemy fears the most. A chosen one who knows their voice has been commissioned by heaven. So don't shrink. Don't soften. Don't let the fear of man mute the roar of God inside you. You are not here to be liked. You are here to bring light. The world is full of compromise, of silence, of shadows. But you were sent to pierce through all of that. And yes, it's lonely at times. Yes, you'll be misunderstood. Yes, people will accuse you of being too intense, too bold, too much. But that's because they've gotten used to diluted truth. And you are the real thing. Chosen one, your call to justice is not an accident. It is prophetic. The same God who raised Moses to confront Pharaoh. The same God who sent Esther to the throne for such a time as this. The same God who flipped tables in the temple. That same Spirit dwells in you. So rise, speak, stand, intervene. You weren't sent to watch from the sidelines. You were sent to rebuild the ruins. You were sent to restore divine order in a world gone numb. And when you walk into rooms carrying that fire, know this: you are not alone. You are backed by heaven. You are guarded by angels. You are moving in mandate. So go, speak, disrupt, restore. Because when a chosen one walks in justice, they don't just change atmospheres. They change history. Let's continue. The scroll is still turning. Part 5. The eye that sees beyond. Chosen one. Have you ever walked into a room and felt something before anyone said a word? Have you ever looked someone in the eyes and instantly knew they were hiding something? Have you ever had a dream, a vision, a sudden inner pull that later proved true? That's not coincidence. That's not imagination. That is discernment. That is the eye that sees beyond. In the temples of ancient Egypt, there was a sacred symbol, the Eye of Horus. To many, it was art. But to the initiated, it was far more. It represented divine vision, protection, insight, healing, spiritual perception. But more than anything else, it was the sign of the awakened eye. And chosen one, you carry that eye. The world calls it intuition, science calls it sensitivity, but heaven calls it sight. Jesus said in Matthew 13:16, "Blessed are your eyes, because they see, and your ears, because they hear." He wasn't talking about physical sight or hearing. He was talking about spiritual perception, the ability to see past the surface, to discern beyond the noise, to recognize truth even when it's hidden in plain sight. And that's exactly what you do. You've always seen what others overlook. You've always sensed danger before it arrived. You've always known when someone's spirit didn't match their smile. It's a gift, a sacred one, but it can feel heavy too. Because when you carry the eye that sees beyond, you see too much. You see deception in systems others trust. You see pain behind fake confidence. You see spiritual warfare dressed up as normal life. And because of that, you often feel like you don't belong. Like the world is too loud, too fake, too shallow. You're not imagining that. You're spiritually tuned. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God. But the person with the Spirit makes judgments about all things." That's why you feel too deep for some crowds. That's why small talk drains you. That's why you feel uneasy when truth is ignored. Because your soul was not wired to live in blindness. It was wired to see. This is why you've always sensed shifts before they happen. Why you get dreams that seem symbolic, but end up revealing the future. Why you get peace when something is right, and a gut-wrenching warning when it's not. That's spiritual vision. The Eye of Horus was often placed in tombs, not just for protection, but to symbolize vision beyond death, sight beyond dimensions. But you? Your sight isn't just symbolic, it's active. God has given you eyes that pierce through facades. Eyes that pick up spiritual temperature. Eyes that spot warfare no one else wants to admit exists. And yes, it's cost you. People have called you paranoid. They've said you're too sensitive. They've laughed at your dreams, dismissed your warnings, and ignored your spiritual nudges. But chosen one, hear this clearly. Your eyes have been blessed. Your gift is real. Your vision is valid. You were never meant to go through life numb. You were meant to walk with insight. And that's not just for you, it's for others. You are often the one who notices when someone's spirit is low, before they even speak. You're the one who prays in silence while others gossip out loud. You're the one who feels what no one says, because your gift is not just about seeing, it's about interceding. The awakened eye sees pain, yes, but it also sees possibility. It sees spiritual attacks, but it also sees divine timing. It sees what's wrong, but it also sees what could be made right. Chosen one, your gift of sight is part of your divine armor. It protects you from people who wear masks. It guides you away from environments that drain your soul. It aligns you with the right voices, the right paths, and the right timing. That flash of discomfort in your spirit when someone enters your life, that's your spiritual eye saying, "This isn't alignment." That moment of sudden clarity when you're about to make a decision, that's your gift activating. That's discernment confirming your steps. But here's the thing. This gift can make you feel lonely. Because people who see truth are often rejected by those who are still hiding in lies. Don't let that make you shrink. Don't dim your vision to fit in. Don't question what your soul knows deep down. The reason you're set apart is because you're assigned to higher vision. And like the watchman on the walls in Scripture, you see danger before it arrives. You see breakthrough before it comes. You see patterns. You notice shifts. You read between the lines. Your spiritual eyes were never meant for entertainment. They were meant for warfare, for wisdom, for watching. So protect your sight. Don't let the distractions of this world cloud your clarity. Don't let the noise of culture drown out the whisper of the Spirit. Don't let spiritual fatigue rob you of your supernatural focus. Chosen one, you were gifted with eyes that see beyond this world. And that gift is powerful. But it also comes with responsibility. Ask God to sharpen your discernment. Ask Him to anoint your eyes with fresh oil. Ask Him to keep your heart pure so your vision stays clear. Because in this generation, the world needs more than influencers and trendsetters. It needs seers. It needs watchmen. It needs you. So if you've ever felt like your perception was too strong, too heavy, too sharp, it's because you were called to see for a generation that's gone blind. Embrace it, honor it, use it, for the glory of God and for the protection of your destiny. Let's move forward, chosen one. The next scroll is calling. Part 6, the Spirit of Return. Chosen one, let this truth wash over your soul. You are not becoming something new. You are returning to who you've always been. This is not a beginning. It's a continuation. A sacred reactivation of a calling that never died, only slept. In ancient Egypt, death was not the end. It was a passage, a pause, a door. They believed the soul didn't just disappear. It returned when the time was right. Their pyramids weren't tombs. They were portals. Their rituals weren't for mourning. They were for remembrance. Every symbol, every carving, every rite whispered the same thing. The soul remembers. And now, 2. Chosen one, you were summoned. This moment, this awakening, this holy discomfort inside of you, it didn't come out of nowhere. It was set into motion long before you were ever born, because your story didn't start in the womb. It started in the throne room. God didn't just assign you a body. He breathed into you a mission, a divine contract, a heavenly echo that would follow you through time, through bloodlines, through spiritual resistance, until you returned. Jeremiah 1:5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." You were known, you were set apart, you were assigned, and though the world tried to layer you in confusion, trauma, and distraction, your spirit never forgot. That ache you feel to align with purpose, that's not new. That pull towards something sacred, that's not recent. That knowing that your life matters on a deeper level, that's not imagination. That's memory. That's your soul waking up. The voice you silenced to fit in is rising again. The light you dimmed to survive is turning back on. The mission you buried to please people is resurfacing with fire. Because you weren't just born, you were summoned, and the time of your return is now. This is what the enemy feared. Not your presence, but your remembrance. That one day, you would stop doubting your worth. That you would stop playing small to make others comfortable. That you would remember who you are, not who life tried to convince you to be. And it's happening. That old mindset, it doesn't fit anymore. That old version of you, it can't come with you. That old environment, it no longer feels like home, because it wasn't. Your spirit is craving truth, purity, alignment. It's no longer satisfied with surface-level living. It wants depth, it wants purpose, it wants to walk with God. Chosen one, you're not just going forward, you're going deeper. You're not just changing, you're returning to your royal identity, to your divine authority, to your original design. And yes, there will be resistance, Because returning means leaving behind the version of you the world tried to mold. It means walking away from comfort zones that caged your calling. It means stepping out of man-made labels and stepping into divine names. But don't be afraid, because what's ahead is holy. What's ahead is home. You are returning to the rhythm of God's voice, to the clarity of spiritual truth, to the purity of who you were before the world got its hands on you. And it's not just about you. Your ancestors prayed for this. Heaven aligned the stars for this. Prophets saw it in visions. Angels have been guarding your path. The earth has been groaning for your emergence. Because your return isn't a trend, it's a divine appointment. This is why you've felt the urgency, the spiritual pressure, the quickening in your dreams and your thoughts. It's not anxiety, it's acceleration. God is reintroducing you, to the version of yourself that walks with authority, that speaks with fire, that sees with clarity, that moves in alignment. You are not weak, you are not late, you are not confused, you are returning. And when you step into rooms now, you will not walk in timidly. You will walk in knowing heaven has already gone before you, that your presence is prophetic, that your life is speaking even when you're silent. Because you don't carry hype, you carry history, the history of a soul that has walked with God before, the legacy of someone heaven trusted with truth, the light of someone who has passed through darkness and still chooses love. And now, the return is complete. You don't have to chase validation. You don't have to perform for acceptance. You don't have to shrink to be seen. You are seen by heaven. You are validated by truth. You are protected by purpose. Chosen one, this is not a comeback, it's a homecoming. You are royalty. Not because of what you wear, but because of what was woven into your spirit. You are divine. Not because of your perfection, but because of God's selection. You are rising, not because of ego, but because of eternal design. So walk differently now. Pray like you know God hears you. Love like you're covered in grace. Move like heaven is your compass. Because it is. Let the world watch. Let them wonder. Let them question. You don't need to explain your rise to those who only knew your silence. You're not here for applause. You're here for assignment. This is your return to your scroll, your sound, your soul. You are not new to this. You are true to this. And now, heaven says, welcome back. Let's keep unfolding the scroll. The next revelation is waiting. Part 7. Royal Priesthood and Divine Authority. Chosen one. It's time to face the truth you've sensed all along. You were never ordinary. You were never just meant to make it. You were born for divine rulership. You were marked for spiritual authority. You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a vessel of glory. And your walk is not about ego, it's about eternity. 1 Peter 2:9 proclaims it boldly. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. This is not poetic language. This is your identity. You weren't just saved to survive, you were chosen to reign, but not like the world reigns. This is not about fame. It's not about riches. It's not about a platform. It's about a mantle. You were given an assignment that comes with weight. Not the weight of popularity, but the weight of responsibility. You're not called to impress. You're called to intercede. You're not called to perform. You're called to proclaim. You're not called to blend in. You're called to break atmospheres open. Like Moses, your voice carries the power to shift nations. Like Joseph, you were processed in private to be trusted in public. Like Esther, you were hidden until the right moment of revealing. Like David, you were overlooked, but still anointed in secret. Chosen one, the crown you carry isn't made of gold. It's made of oil, Oil that was pressed out through your suffering. Oil that was produced through your obedience. Oil that now drips from every healed scar and every surrendered yes. And now, God is calling you to walk like royalty, not in pride, but in prophetic awareness. Because this world doesn't need another influencer. It needs intercessors. It needs priests who know how to touch heaven and shift earth. It needs warriors who don't need applause to fight for righteousness. You've been through too much to play small now. You've seen too much to live passive now. You've endured too much silence to withhold your voice now. This is your season to step fully into your priestly power. You were chosen to stand between realms, to bridge the gap between heaven and earth, to call down what others can't even see, to release what's been held up in the spirit because your authority makes way. You've been quiet long enough. You've doubted long enough. You've let fear whisper in your ear for too long. But now your crown is calling. And it doesn't sit on heads that are bowed to insecurity. It rests on those who know who sent them. You weren't just selected by God, you were commissioned by Him. The enemy knows it. That's why he fought you so hard in childhood. That's why betrayal tried to break your trust. That's why rejection followed you, so you'd question your position. But no demonic storm can cancel what heaven decreed. And God didn't put a robe of righteousness on you just to watch you live like a servant to fear. You are not a beggar. You are not forgotten. You are not on the sidelines. You are a kingdom carrier. And wherever you go, you don't just take your personality. You take your presence. The presence of God that goes before you, covers you, and speaks through you. And yes, people will be intimidated. They won't always understand the light you carry. They'll project, resist, and even mock your boldness. Let them, because your authority doesn't come from them. It comes from the throne. You are not here to fit in. You are here to establish order, to shift spiritual climates, to awaken those still asleep in dead systems. Every time you open your mouth with purity and power, chains break. Every time you pray, something moves in the unseen. Every time you show up in alignment, the enemy loses ground. Because a chosen one in position is a problem for hell. Chosen one, this is your coronation season. The wilderness didn't kill you. It crowned you. The heartbreak didn't stop you. It strengthened you. The isolation didn't break you. It built you. And now you walk not in opinion, but in ordination. You walk not for applause, but for assignment. So declare what God says. Build what heaven shows you. Move like someone who knows the crown already sits on your head. And when doubt tries to creep in, remember, you've been chosen. You've been refined. You've been trusted. The world may try to label you, diminish you, redefine you, but heaven already named you. Royal, priest, prophet, chosen. Now walk in it, not with arrogance, but with alignment. Because when the righteous rise in boldness, the world doesn't just notice, it shifts. So go forth, not as someone waiting for permission, but as someone carrying a commission. You are God's answer to chaos. You are God's vessel for divine interruption. You are heaven's ambassador wrapped in flesh and fire. This is your time. The crown is not coming, it's already yours. Now wear it, pray like a priest, move like a warrior, stand like a ruler. You are chosen. You are royal. You are rising. Let's bring it home in the next chapter. The scroll is almost complete. Chosen one, take a breath, not just because you've made it to the end of this message, but because something ancient within you has stirred. You didn't just hear truth today, you remembered it. You were never lost. You were never forgotten. You were never just one of many. You were chosen, chosen to awaken, chosen to return, chosen to reign. The scroll of your life has always been unfolding, even when you couldn't see the ink. Every tear, every silence, every wilderness moment, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Now you understand why the attacks were so specific, why the warfare felt so personal, why the enemy tried so hard to confuse your identity. Because he saw the crown before you did, but now the veil is lifting. Now you walk with revelation. with fire, with alignment. You are royalty. Not because of what you've done, but because of who sent you. You are light. Not because life was easy, but because you were forged in darkness and still chose to shine. You are a voice, not just for yourself, but for generations still asleep. This is your moment, this is your return, this is your rise. So walk boldly, speak faithfully, move prophetically, and never forget, you were written in the stars, sealed in the scrolls, refined in the fire, and crowned in the Spirit. If this message stirred your spirit, drop 777 in the comments. Let heaven and earth know you're aligned with your divine assignment. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this word, because someone else out there is waking up too, and your obedience might be the very thing that unlocks their scroll. You are not new to this. You are true to this. And your next chapter is divine. Let's walk it out together.